"You are an idiot. You are a moron." How would you react if someone told you that? The answer to that question is personal to each one of you watching this video. But one thing for sure is, the way you react to that determines who you are as a person, your personality. Now, there's a huge, truly significant difference between knowing you act a certain way and knowing why you act a certain way and understanding it. So let me ask you this. Do you want to keep acting and behaving a certain way without knowing the reasons? Wouldn't you like to know what really moves you as a person when faced with a certain situation? Carl Jung, in his work, introduces us to the Fool archetype. An archetype is a template, a psychological template. You might be asking, why do I need a template to understand myself? Simple. It makes it easier for you to understand the underlying reason behind why you think and act the way you do. If that is something you are interested in, let's onboard this video together where we will be analyzing the complete psychology behind the Fool archetype. But before we do that, let me welcome you to the Self-I channel, a place where we blend psychological, philosophical, and spiritual theories into digestible pieces that you can easily use to understand yourself better and improve your life. Most people on YouTube don't tell you that, but there is one important thing you need to understand before analyzing any archetype. An archetype is not a person. For example, when I say, let's analyze the psychology behind the Fool is not a person. The Fool is a psychological pattern. So whenever a person, whether it's you, me, or a friend, acts or behaves in this psychological pattern, either all the time or once in a while, we identify it as being energized by the Fool archetype at that particular moment. Let's start with, why is this psychological structure or pattern called the Fool archetype? In our society, a fool or idiot is often seen as any person who qualifies himself, or people qualifies, as a person who lacks intelligence, who lacks judgment because they do dumb things or make bad choices that do not make sense to us. But deep down, this person may believe the act or choice was great because they have a deep want or desire of avoiding the negative. This is why whenever they are being qualified like that, either by themselves or by others, they react by doing a couple of things. Want to know what they are? Here it is. Generally, whenever a person is being qualified as an idiot or fool, either by themselves or by others, they generally do these two things. First thing they do, or they have, is a deep desire to prove that they are intelligent and they are not foolish. And second, this desire to prove is often being expressed by the emotion of anger. Anger because this is a way to protect themselves and regain control of the situation. But does that always work? The answer is no, it makes it worse. Here is why. This anger that they feel when that happens is just a temporary protection because internally they are nurturing a deep-seated fear of being labeled as an idiot again. Therefore, they always stay on guard not to be treated like that again, treated like an idiot. Two results can come from that. Either they become ashamed and suffer low self-esteem and avoid being in that situation again, or they always try to outsmart everyone in order to protect themselves. And there is something very, but very dangerous that comes with that called Sugr Phobia, which is when a person is doing foolish actions that often come from a fear of being seen as an idiot or being duped. This fear can lead people to make irrational decisions to avoid appearing foolish. And whenever a person goes into this, they become part of a loop, where they always double down on their behaviors instead of doubling down on knowing themselves, just to prove to people. Being guided by this fear of being wrong, they develop egocentrism and they try to do all they can to have this illusion of control. All of this because they are worried about what other people think. They do not take some time to think of their own motivation and behaviors. Therefore, they do things based on the fear of what people might think. A result of that, most of them have this very tendency of seeking validation, approval, recognition, admiration, compensation. Is that the way you want to live your life, Hayne? Do you imagine your happiness being in the hands of other people where they can make you sad and happy? Don't you want to control your life? Because let me tell you, it is not about the mistake you make. It is about how you respond to them that determines whether you grow or stay stuck. There is a way out of this vicious circle. It starts whenever the fool admits their imperfection, without judging themselves or being ashamed. Whenever they love themselves and have confidence, that's the key to growth in the way you influence people around you. when you are being real and when you know yourself. For that to happen, you must shift your focus from external validation, which is what other people think of you, to internal validation, which is what you think of yourself. It's about recognizing your worth. No one knows your worth but you. You should not be looking for people to tell you you are good enough. You should know that within yourself. You don't need people's approval anymore. You already give it to yourself. Talking of that, I am not saying not to listen and understand people, but one thing I can tell you today is real self-worth comes from within. You can't find it anywhere else.